evening, everyone. The time is now 6 p.m. and the Spring Lake Board of Commissioners regular meeting is now called to order. I do ask that you keep all sidebar conversations to the absolute minimum out of respect for the business of the town, and please silence all cell phones. I would like to call Reverend Smith to call up to do our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please stand and join us if you choose to.
Good evening, Madam Secretary, Commissioners, and Councilmen, and to the people of this great Spring Lake. Let us bow our heads. Oh, Heavenly Father, God, we thank you, Lord, for bringing us together in unity. Father, we continue, Father God, to bless every member of this staff, Father God, as well as community, Father God. Father, continue to give them wisdom, give them guidance, Father God, and let them humble themselves, Father God, as we humble ourselves, Father God, that we may serve our community with love, with understanding, Father God. Continue, Father God, to bless them, Father God, as the leaders of this community, Father God, and give them the insight, Father God, that they may govern the people according, Father God, to the policies, to the guidelines, and the regulations. So we give you all the honor, we give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Let us say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
We will now move on to our additions and deletions. Seeing no additions or deletions, I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioner Thompson?
So moved.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll now approve the consent items, which are the draft minutes of the May 11th, 2026 meeting and the draft minutes of the May 26th special meeting. Mayor Pro Tem?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the minutes for May 11, 2026 regular meeting as well as the draft minutes 2026 special meeting.
Commissioner Cooper?
I second.
Motion's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll now move on to our public comments. Just remember, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. And the topics are directly related to the town of Spring Lake only. There is a digital warning to let you know when you get close to your time, to let you know. And we try to keep to that strict 3-minute guideline unless absolutely necessary to extend. And we will begin with Sean Brigner, topic Lillian Black.
Good morning. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The reason I'm here talking about Lillian Black is on the 28th of May, the school board had a meeting, and during the auxiliary committee time, they talked about their plan to sell Lillian Black to the county for $1. The main reason I bring that up as far as relates to Spring Lake is 2 of the people, Warner and West, continuously spouted how selling it to the county would be an opportunity for Spring Lake. Selling it to the county would give us that we could get it from the county to do economic development. Selling it to the county will help out Spring Lake with everything we have going on. I might not have seen and attended every hearing or every meeting here, but I know at one time they had been discussed about something that was coming with Lillian Black as it relates to that property. However, what I'm getting at is that the same people that voted to shut down Manchester, those 2, are the same 2 using our name as a town to try to pass them getting rid of a building that they essentially shut down and have almost been neglecting. 4 years ago, and this is 4 years ago, they had tried to sell it for $750,000. Apparently behind closed doors, and you can hear all the stuff, it sounds like everything was done, and they said by talking, nothing formal, they got it down to $350,000. And then apparently that's why everything fell through, it's been there for 4 years. What I'm mainly after talking about really is that I don't really feel as a citizen of Spring Lake that I should, if there is news of something happening with Lily Impact, between us and the county, I feel like I should kind of hear that from you guys first. It shouldn't be a talking point for them to try to justify some action that they have. And all the time, those two were literally talking about, it'll be great, the economical development for Spring Lake, it'll be this, it'll be that. They can get it from the county and all this stuff. If they really wanted to help out Spring Lake, they would not have done that. And that's what I'm here, basically, just informing everybody that they were still using our name, and they're using our name, essentially my name, from what I see is that they try to get some of their actions that they have done, and seem justified. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next one is Mayor Jackson with priorities.
Good evening, Mayor, board members, town manager, staff, and residents. My name is a Spring Lake resident, Mayor Jackson. I come before you tonight concerned about priorities, accountability, and the message being sent to the citizens of our town. Over the past month, our community has heard repeated discussions about budget shortfalls, declining revenue, and difficult decisions that have resulted from financial challenges. We have seen positions eliminated or reduction in departments that directly affect the quality of life, safety of our residents, including fire department, police department, and other town services. These are not small issues. These are decisions that affect emergency response, public safety, employee morale, and confident citizens placed in local government. At the same time, many residents observe the significant amount of attention and energy being spent on matters involving cell phones for the board members. While policy, transparency, and proper procedures are important, I believe citizens are asking a simple question. Are we focusing enough attention on solving real financial and operational problems that face the town? The members of Spring Lake, the citizens of Spring Lake expect that leadership is focusing on solutions, not expect and collaboration to increase revenue, attract businesses, strengthen economic development, improve budget practices, and identify long-term strategies to prevent layoff and service reduction. They expect thoughtful decisions about how to stabilize the town's finances so departments are not forced to carry the burden of financial shortfalls. Every hour spent debating distraction is an hour not spent developing plans to grow our tax base, recruit investments, support local businesses, and improve financial stability. The citizens are looking for progress, not division. We want to see leadership work together to protect services, support employees, and move Spring Lake forward. I respectfully ask this board to redirect energy toward financial future of this town, focus on solutions, focus on restoring confidence, focus on restoring employee and residents that depend on our leadership and responsibility in decision making.
Thank you so much. Next is Andrika Rhodes with some suggestions.
I actually have a lot done, but I just wanted to say that it's a must that you have a capital improvement plan because it's a multi-year grant that identifies, prioritizes, and schedules public infrastructure and asset investments. And when was the last time, you had internal audits? I mean, y'all doing your own audits on your own departments. And then with the water pipes, they're supposedly supposed to be good for like 30 years, so just keep this in mind about that water topic that you're about to get on. And also, when they put those water pipes in, what they put in right, are they being maintained correctly? Because if they are, then, you know, but if they're not. And then it may be also time to add more water lines to your existing water lines, especially if you're gonna consider more growth in the area in the future. And another suggestion with, what we could do with the infrastructure money is you can add 0.5 cent on to anything sold like in Spring Lake, and that money will be used, that only can be used to do infrastructure things. It can't be touched to do anything else. Also, and having a good finance director is really a big deal. And why are y'all not looking for grants? That's important. Y'all should be looking for grants. And lastly, there's money investment. This is just an idea. I don't know how your investment policy is, but you can use property tax to invest into like a government bond. But like I said, it depends on your investment policy. So, and they said like you can use your property tax to invest it right off away, because I guess you don't need it right away, so you can use that. But if you do go this route, you'll need to use an investment company, and they'll advise you on where to invest your money based on the policies. And then the actual cash investments are sitting in regions. So I don't know if that works. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Ms. Betty Sanford. Ms. Betty, everything. Her topic of concern is everything.
Praise the Lord, everybody. My name is Betty Sanford. And it's 104 Monkey Drive, Springfield, number 11. And can you hear me?
No, ma'am, talking to you.
Okay, can y'all hear me back there? Put your hearing aid on. Okay, what I'm coming up here to find out about these roads and about these poles that's laying on wires and stuff like that. I've been talking about that for a long time, and it's time to get that repaired, okay? The other thing is the signs for the children. Now, the parents in our community is talking about it, and they're talking to me about it, because people are driving too fast, and a lot of the parents are pushing their children in their buggies and things like that. You don't want those kids to be hit and killed. And I've said things to people when they were driving too fast, and some of them put up that one finger, and I just tell God about it, because I know He can handle it, okay? But we need to do something about this before something really happens in the community. The other thing is the water. Talking about the water bill going up a little bit more. Why? We don't have anything in the community. We don't have anything in the town. You don't have a skating range. You don't have nothing for the children to do here. Not a thing. Don't even have real nice restaurants here. Everything is fast foods. And we need to do better. We need to do better. Now, you've been in office for a while. It's time to do better and get moving. And I'm serious about that. Okay? You told me some of the rest of it, I'll tell you what I do. The other thing is yard care. We got so many people in the community. Y'all need to ride around in the community and see what's going on in the community. You got people that got yards, their grass is way up here. And the people that own those houses are the realtors. They're not doing anything about it. And I think that we need to get something done about it. If it means finding them, then do it. And we can get the yards in the neighborhood looking good. Because right now it doesn't look good. You got houses that are falling in the communities. not just in Deerfield, but in other areas. And that's not right. We need to move up. And that's what we're gonna do, move up. Because I'm gonna keep right on talking to you until you do just that. Y'all can look at me crazy if you want to, but I mean what I say, and you know I do.
Thank you, Ms. Sanford.
Uh-huh.
Next, is that Joe Marshall?
No.
I can't read, I'm sorry, I can't really read the last name. First name Joe?
Yes.
There, oh.
Hi, lady, how are you?
How are you?
Welcome. My concern is the water here, Spring Lake also. I don't know how our people work around here because I am not from this town. So each month I look and I understand you have your meters read every month in this town. Is that every single person, every single home? Well, then I'm gonna tell you something. Somebody's not doing the job. I am home most of the time when your guys come to read the meter on Dundee Lane. You know how many meters they read? Take a guess. 3. 3 up on this end, 2 over here, the next month. Yeah, I'll watch them, and they get back in the truck and they leave. How can we get an accurate reading to pay our bills when one month a bill may be $40 and the next month our bill is $70? Now, we're not doing anything different. I need an answer, and so does your people here in Spring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, that will conclude our public comments. We'll move on to our first presentation of the evening. And this is our certificates of appreciation, Commissioner Adrian Thompson.
Yes, so last month on the 22nd of May, we held our Memorial Day celebration here. So I do have 2 certificates for CW5 retired Wendy Ann Wayman, and also Nenosha Sharp. He was the national anthem singer, and she was the guest speaker for neither one of them. She lives in Raleigh, so she's not able to be here. And the guest speaker has apparently, he moved out of town, so he's not here. So we're gonna make sure that both of them, well, he moved out of state. So I'm ensure that both of them get these certificates, but thank you.
All right, agenda item 7B, hurricane preparedness. Miss, is it Shania Galt? Oh.
I know it looks like.
Yeah. It's okay.
So good evening. I'm here today just to talk about hurricane preparedness. Of course, we're right into hurricane season now. So really, I just wanted to say, you know, are you ready? So for the 2026 Atlantic hurricane season always is June 1st through November 30th. Right now, we are projected to be right out of a low normal season. They're saying about a 55% probability of that. They're saying maybe a 35% of a near normal, and then there's a 10% probability of a above normal season. For that 55% below normal, they're saying that we may have 8 to 14 named storms, 3 to 6 named hurricanes, and then 1 to 3 major hurricanes. So for comparison, a normal season would be 14 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. But I don't want to focus so much on those numbers because, you know, when they're saying, well, 3 to 6 hurricanes or 1 to 3 hurricanes, that doesn't really mean anything because you have to think Tropical Storm Debbie or Tropical Storm Chantel that came through, Tropical Storm Helene when it came through. It was only a tropical storm. When it hit Western Carolina, it wasn't even a hurricane at that point. It was already downgraded. So, you know, when it hits at a certain level of severity, it doesn't necessarily differentiate the impact that it can make. What really can matter is, you know, what were the conditions prior to that storm approaching us? With where we are, especially in the sandhills, what gets us a lot of times is the rain prior to events. For Hurricane Florence and Hurricane Matthew, it rained so much prior to those events hitting us that by the time those storms got to us, you know, we were already so inundated with water, it had nowhere to go. So, you know, we were just in a tight spot with that. And I know a lot of people that are in this room today remember that. So the big thing is just knowing your local risks. You know, the local risks here, especially for spring flooding, are inland flooding, the extended power outages, road closures, infrastructure impacts, the tornadoes that can spawn. The photo on the left is from Tropical Storm Debbie. You know, at that point in the storm, I think we were looking at water that was about 21 feet, and that's right there at the Little River. The picture right there on the right, that was Hurricane Matthew. That was at 32 feet of water. So, you know, impacts like that, they definitely happen around here. We definitely want to try to mitigate those measures. We have since then been actively looking at ways of how can we help prevent and actively work on that. How can we help the community with our alert and evacuation systems and our infrastructures. So the big thing is just preparedness matters. You know, a lot of people always say that preparedness is one of the biggest things. You don't want to wait until a hurricane gets here. You don't want to sit there and wait until it sneaks up on you either. A lot of people will sit there and wait till the last minute, until the stores are already empty. Or they want to wait until it's right there approaching you, and then all the aisles are, you know, bare. And you're rushing for the milk and the bread. One of my favorite stories with that is, you know, when everybody's racing down the aisles and they're like, okay, well, there's nothing left but, you know, milk, bread, and then peanut butter. Well, what if you're allergic to peanut butter and that's all they got? Then you're up the creek. So, you know, get there early, you know, get what you can get, and be prepared. So there's 3 steps that we always want to make sure that you're looking at whenever you're being prepared. The first one is make a plan. Part of making a plan is looking at what's your communication plan with your family. You know, during part of making that plan is how are you going to communicate with them, with your children especially. What if your phones go out? You know, do they know your full name? Do they know your address? Can they get up with you, you know, without that cell phone? Do they know your telephone number? You know, do they have all that information that's needed? You know, a lot of people now, they don't go back to those traditional methods. Have you already had an outline method with them? So that if something happens, you know, they have a backup system where they can get in touch with an additional relative, or they have an additional friend of the family. Do they have someone like an emergency contact that is a neighbor next door, or a family member that is out of town, so that if you are impacted here in your town or, you know, in your neighborhood, there's someone that is in a neighboring area that they can go to for 1, safety, but then 2, that's your next checkup. Because, and a lot of times, especially for example, like Hurricane Helene, there was a lot of instances where people were saying, well, they were on their way to you, but did they make it there? We know that that's the route that they take, but, you know, did they ever make it? They had a point A, B, and C. We knew they made it to B, but did they make it to C? So there's a method of backtracking to that. They knew that they had that route and that method of travel. So being able to know that during that transportation, that evacuation route, being able to communicate that to your friends and your family, even if they live out of state and out of town, matters. And then just knowing that evacuation, the shelter in place, so knowing the difference of when you need to leave and when you need to stay. We always say, you know, if you're able to evacuate, if you have a place to go, do it early. Don't wait until the last minute. You You know, with Little River and certain roads around here, we know that once that water rises, you ain't gonna get past it. We don't want you trying to go and then getting stuck. It only takes 6 inches of water, you know, before it can sweep someone off their feet. It can take 12 inches of water that could take the car. It does not take much. And a lot of people don't understand that. It takes more out of first responders and our rescue to come out and have to take people during events, especially when we're activated, than probably anything else as far as, you know, during our hurricane events or during tropical storm events. So we want to make sure that we're using our resources wisely. And then just the shelter in place. If you're safe at home, you know, make sure that you have all of those needed supplies. We always say that you want to make sure that, you know, you have at least 3 days worth of food and water. But you also want to make sure that, you know, you have all of your special considerations in place. You know, do you have elderly relatives or children or pets? A lot of people don't think about medications or, you know, formula, diapers, pet food, you know, livestock. You know, there's a lot of special needs that certain people or, you know, certain children or animals might have that you don't think of on a day-to-day basis. But if you sit down and actually do some planning about, you realize very quickly, like, oh, if there's an emergency, I need that. So make sure that you have that broken down. And then just going back to making sure you kind of build that kit. We're talking about having that 3-day minimum. You know, some of the things that you want in that kit is you want to make sure you have your water, your non-perishable food, but also, you know, your first aid items, those necessary items, like if you wear glasses or medical devices, your mobility aids, extra batteries for those items. We always say flashlights, weather radios, but also important documents. You know, a lot of people don't carry cash anymore, but, you know, if a credit card reader goes down, then what are you gonna do? You know, cash is king sometimes still. But then, you know, going back to non-perishable food, some people forget like can openers. And then also, even though you may have a kit at home, I also recommend always having a kit in your car as well, because if you do end up trying to evacuate, you know, or if you just end up trying to go to a store, you know, what if you get stuck somewhere? Make sure, you know, that you still have some type of kit in your car as well, so that you're safe. But make sure you're building your kit and tailoring it to your family. And I always tell people as well, you know, if you do have kids, especially younger kids, throw some fun stuff in there as well. Throw a deck of cards in there, you know, throw their favorite little stuffy, or like a board game. It doesn't always have to be like little dry things, or just like bare essentials. Make sure that you have some things in there too that are gonna get you through those 3 days, or, you know, the 4 days or a week. And start small. A lot of people say that building a kit, typically when we do surveys of, you know, have you planned or have you been able to build a kit? Are you prepared for a disaster or an emergency? You know, the number one reason why people say they aren't prepared is because it's expensive. But start small. Start with one item at a time. You know, if you can buy a gallon of water this week and then, you know, pick up 3 cans of food next week, then do that. Put it to the side. If you can sit there and, you know, buy a first aid kit the following week, then do that. Just do it a little bit at a time. A weather radio, you can pick one up on Amazon for less than, I say, probably $20. They have some decent ones for about $15. And weather radios, the event that happened down in Texas could have saved a lot of lives. Weather radios, it saved a lot of lives in Helena as well. It kept a lot of people connected. When everything goes down, weather radios, those NOAA or weather radios, they still stay connected, and they have been around a long time. So that kind of leads into the next point of just staying informed. It's always really important to sign up for those local alerts. One that we have is Cumberland Alerts. It's completely free. It is a opt-in method that that you're able to sign up for, where we are able to push out notifications for anything from power outages, water outages. You get weather alerts, but then it is also connected to, we now have a access and functional needs registry. So if you know anyone that has access and functional needs, and they might need transportation assistance or mobility assistance, especially if you know that they're prone to needing to go to shelters or needing some additional support, they're able to put their information in, and we're able to kind of poll that or survey out whenever there's needs. It is fairly new. We kind of launched that last year. So we're still really trying to build that up and engage it. But it's gonna be a really great program, that we're gonna be able to use for the community. But there's also other, local alerting systems that we have. Social media is great. And then of course, local websites. The county has the local websites, the municipalities have their local websites and, social medias as well. But you also wanna make sure that you're monitoring trusted weather sources. So we use National Weather, Service. That is the only weather service that we use. A lot of people will look at like Dave's weather service, they will look at, there's so many out there. I could probably name, I don't even know. But the issue is that all of them can differ so much, with their data and their points. And it can fluctuate so much that it can skew numbers. And we see it really often, especially when people kind of engage us on our social media. Well, it's saying that, this storm is gonna hit us at this time. Why is your information saying this? Well, our information is saying this because we use this source and you're looking at this. So anytime that we're kind of getting that information, or we're having citizens, ask us these questions, that may be a reason why. It's because they're pulling information from a different source. And then just know where to get that official information from before, during, and after a storm, because there is a lot of misinformation out there, and people pushing misinformation has been a big issue in recent times. And then just kind of leading to that is you really want to follow trusted sources. One of the biggest things here lately is an issue with AI. I don't know how many of you know, but that's an AI photo that floated around a lot during Hurricane Helene. And why would someone do that? Other than just to, push their own agenda. It was a lot for trying to get clicks and trying to raise money on their own page, but we saw it a lot. They were trying to push misinformation. They were actually pushing funding to other sources, to wrong sources. They were pushing resources to the wrong directions. It caused a lot of issues. There was a lot of information that was getting out there about more fatalities than what there were. There was a lot of information about resources being used inappropriately. And you see it a lot, and it's going to be a continued issue. But the big thing is you just really want to make sure that you're redirecting people to go back to who you can trust. So make sure that you're pushing them back to your website or the county website. We always say, it's never really a good thing to try to correct them, because you don't want to get into an argument match with them. That's kind of not our place from a PIO standpoint. But it was just very unfortunate that we had to deal with that, especially during those hard times. But EM has done a lot of preparedness activities as of late. We have expanded a lot of communication capabilities locations here in Spring Lake specifically. This past year, we did actually move, our OPSCOMs, or our, emergency communication system from 71st High School, to, W.T. Brown School. That was actually a big thing that we worked with, CFARS, which is our local, ham radio club. We really kind of look, because we have about, say about 20 or so shelters, within the county. We have about 10 or 15 primary shelters, W.T. Brown being one of them. But we only have 5 that are slotted that have emergency communications. And, we wanted to make sure that we had one of those locations here in Spring Lake. So W.T. Brown was selected as that location. And then a part of that as well is a part of improving that shelter capability was also making sure that we had generator, or a full generator built onto that school. So I know it's been a kind of work in progress the past couple of years, making sure that that school gets a generator. And that's still been a work in progress with the ARPA funds. I know the last I've checked on that is that the generator, was locally, on the ground here. I just haven't seen, or, I don't know where it's at as far as being at the school yet, but we're making good progress on it. And then, as far as emergency management as well, we've been trying to do a lot of public outreach. I know it's our goal that we definitely want to try to make it out to a couple more First Friday events. We were able to make it out to some, and we had a lot of fun doing that. And then we also recently just applied for the Next Generation Warning System Grant Program. That closed at the end of April. We actually put in for a little over $500 million. So we'll see, hopefully, if we get any funds for that. But if we do, that will actually give us, we applied for, I apologize, completely just lost my train of thought. We applied for, a QSIG, evacuation sirens. So we have done a lot of, modeling, kind of across the county, but there was a large lesson learned during the disaster that happened in Texas especially. And we have noticed that, there's a huge gap, and wanting to make sure that you take care of that, our alert and warning system as far as the redundancy, because we have our, Cumberland alerts. So we have our iPod system that will hit our mobile devices, of course. But of course, if something like that were to fail, the cell phones fail, what is our backup method? We've had our first responders go door to door in the past, but that's not always going to be the fastest method. So we want to make sure that we can kind of do something quicker. So we strategically look at being able to place sirens throughout the county as a safer method. And so one of the models that we did for that is looking at the Little River. And so what we did was during Tropical Storm Debbie, we looked at one of our evacuation zones that we already have built into our Everbridge system. So we already have what you see in the light. We use this for any time we have to do an evacuation on the Little River. But we've gone in and worked with a couple of companies, and just based off of this, pinpointed, how many sirens would it take to be able to fully, notify that area. So it's just kind of cool, the studies that we've been doing and kind of the work in progress. But it is just a continuous evaluation improvement kind of on our part. But as far as on a citizen standpoint, if there's anyone that does want to get involved, we do also have County CERT. It is an opportunity for the community receive free training. It provides a class for basic first aid, light search and rescue, fire suppression, and more. We can offer those classes locally. If you go onto radiancy.gov, though, they also have classes all across the county. CERT is all across the state. It's not just something local. It was something that came into a lot of big help, especially during Hurricane Helene. They were a huge help during that event. So it's just something that we're really trying to also grow here, Wake County. In Apex, they have a really great program. There's a lot of counties out there that have a really great program, so we're just really trying to strengthen our county as well in our community. If y'all have any questions?
First, thank you for that presentation. Hurricane preparedness is very serious, which is why I wanted to make sure that you came out to inform our community. I do have a quick question. You said for the CERT, you do that locally, meaning you would come to Spring Lake to provide that training and not have, because I want to make sure our residents have access to it.
Yes, ma'am. So we can actually provide that class anywhere. Me and my coworker, we are actually trained to teach that class. So our only requirement typically is we try to have at least 10 to 15 people at a minimum to teach it, but we can pull that from anywhere. We typically try to have it posted for at least a month or so to make sure that we get those numbers.
I would love to see something like that happening. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for that presentation. Experienced hurricane here, and it was kind of devastating for a while for our citizens as well. So getting prepared, because I see here from June 1st to November the 30th. As well as you stated, the W.T. Brown, the generator is on the ground, but you don't know if it's hooked up yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. There's been, it's definitely a work in progress as far as making sure that they have all of the switches and everything, the wiring set up. And then they had to go through the whole process with making sure that they had the contract process in place. So I know that they finally got the contract signed. And so they're actually in the process now of getting that done. They're they had 365 days to make sure that they had that done and completed.
That's great, because that will be a shelter you stated as well.
No, it is actively a shelter, yes.
Certainly needed. All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Thompson?
I just wanted to see if you need a phone number to contact you for the class.
Yes, I have a card I can give you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. We are now moving on to agenda item 8.
Okay.
You could just, she has it. All right, we are now on agenda item 8A, ZON 260023, rezoning request from CD Conservancy District and CP Planned Commercial District, excuse me, to CP Planned Commercial District or more restrictive zoning for 4 parcels comprising approximately 4.02 acres located west of North Bragg Boulevard and 340 feet south of West Manchester Road, submitted by the Charleston Group and Tanner Postal Commercial Real Estate Agents on behalf of James and Pinnick, Cynthia Goins, Martha Harkins, owner. Mr. Fagan.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. My name is Richard Fagan, Planner 2 for Cumberland County's Planning and Inspections Department, and I'm here to present case ZON 2623, which is centrally located within the town of Spring Lake, as denoted by the red star. The applicant and owner is James and Panapa Hinton, Cynthia Carter, and Martha Harkins. The agent is the Charleston Group and Tanner Postal Commercial Real Estate. The request is to go from CD Conservancy and CP Planned Commercial District to CP Planned Commercial District. The intent is to develop the subject property for a fast food restaurant with a drive-through and gas station. Total acre to the subject property is approximately 4.02 acres. Some of the surrounding uses include residential, single-family, manufactured home, industrial, and commercial as well. You have Cardinal State Storage, which is industrial, is located to the west. And then you have some commercial, Guns Plus, and the Collective to the south, and also to the east respectively. Some of the surrounding zoning districts include, and I'll go in a clockwise fashion so you can follow along. We have R10, C3, CP, and RR. We also have R6A, R6A, R6ACZ, RR, CD, and R15, along with CD as well. This is an aerial of the subject property, provides some color and character. As you can see, 3 of the subject parcels contain vacant single-family dwellings, and the 4th parcel in question is currently undeveloped and vacant. The subject property contains no hydric or hydric inclusion soils and does have water and sewer lines in close proximity to the property itself, along North Bragg Boulevard. This is a contours map overlay on the subject property. There is a slight elevation, about 156 feet in elevation, directly to the north, which slopes down, moving down southwest to the to the corner of the red outline portion of the property, being 144 feet. The subject property sits within the Spring Lake Area Land Use Plan and has the land use classification being commercial. Some of the associated zoning districts for commercial include C1, C3, CP, and HSP. Some of the development goals, notes, and objectives include 1, enhance the land use review communications to local government to provide more in-depth information regarding the basis for RULAC's recommendation and emphasizing the advisory nature of the recommendation. 2, adopt and implement regulations for formal coordination and notification of land use and development proposals that may have an impact on military training and operations within defined areas of compatibility concern, including any area within 5 miles of the installation boundary, regardless of the presence of a defined encroachment area. The joint land use study was prepared by Benchmark Planning for the Fort Bragg Regional Land Use Advisory Commission and was completed in 2018. This plan covers a multi-county region surrounding Fort Bragg, including the Spring Lake Plan area. It includes information and constraints that must be considered in the development process. The request is not consistent with the adopted land use plan. RULAC, or the Regional Land Use Advisory Commission, provided this graphic to show in greater detail the accident potential zone 1 of Pope Airfield running through the subject property. Staff highlighted the parcels in question, kind of provide some clarity for the board itself. As you can see, as labeled are the subject parcels, and then directly to the right in hatch, you can see the portions of the parcels themselves that are located within the APZ1, or the accident potential zone 1. This is the Pope Airfield APZ, generalized APZ boundary map. It extends out from Pope Airfield approximately 15,000 feet, and as you can see in the orange is the APZ1. Denoted by the red arrow is the subject property, which is approximately 7,500 feet away from the airfield itself. This is the subject property looking at it across from Bragg Boulevard. This is a south view with the subject property on your right-hand side. This is the east view looking away from the subject property. And this is a north view with the property on your left-hand side. The Joint Planning Board recommended approval at their May 19th meeting Staff recommends denial of this request. That does conclude my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? So before we take questions, I did want to provide a bit of detail on why RULAC provided wanted to go against this, and it was simply because, first off, RULAC is not opposed to economic development. They want to see the communities that we serve grow, but essentially the direct objection was to the change in zoning that would remove the designation in the conservation district. It's in the rear that coincides with the Tank Creek floodplain. The primary concern would be any development or encroachment on the floodplain that would change the hydrology of the flow of water during flood conditions and exacerbate upstream flooding issues at Pope Field. So we do understand that the land is already zoned for these uses, which is why I believe the planning board went forward with it, but we wanted to make sure that the owners were aware of Tank Creek and the reasons why RULAC made the decision, the advisory decision that we did. Commissioner Jackson.
I just want to be clear where the property was. So you're talking about, for going down Brad Boulevard from this way, on this side here, is where they have those different types of houses that's
Dilapidated.
Yeah, and
Yes.
then like, they got a grading place over there in that area.
Let me explain it to you. You know where that, right on the corner of Manchester, where that empty gas station is?
Yes,
And it's a bunch of houses right next to it, that's the area.
the houses that got flooded during
Yes,
that area.
yes, ma'am.
And you're saying somebody said that they don't want them to build there?
RULAC made the advisory decision to recommend denial simply because of the potential, and it's a small potential that what's going there could possibly cause flooding on Pope Field because it's connected to Tank Creek. It's us being cautious and making sure that we're trying to protect Fort Bragg, but again, this is an advisory council, and it's already zoned for what they're asking for, so.
The owners are aware of it.
Correct.
So that's why Cumberland County staff recommended denial, because they're looking at the same maps that RULAC staff is looking at. However, the board decided to go differently because they understand it's already zoned that way. Are there any other questions? Oh, go ahead, Mayor.
You said the board already understands it's zoned already. But why is it that planning don't understand it? I'm not understanding this connection.
No,
If we understand it, why they don't understand it correctly?
Well, so when we created our recommendation for the joint planning board, it involved a couple different things. One of them was the land use policies for the Spring Lake area land use plan, which involved specific land use policies related to Fort Bragg. And with RULAC's letter stating that the subject properties were located within that accident protection zone or accident potential zone 1, staff wanted to make sure, because of Spring Lake's strong relationship with RULAC, that we incorporated that into our recommendation.
Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you. So, the joint planning board approved it,
Correct. Or recommended approval.
recommended approval. But staff recommends not approving, although it's already zoned for commercial.
Correct, yeah, so there are portions of the property itself that are already zoned CUP, and by right, the applicant could develop that property without including the CD portion in and of itself. So that is recognized.
Okay. I mean, it's just going back to what it was, kind of, sort of.
It's pretty much.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Thank you, sir. I now declare this public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Mr. Charleston? It's great to see you back in these chambers. It's kind of strange looking at you from this direction and not craning my neck.
The last time I was here, you had folks from Raleigh
Didn't we?
and an old room, so you guys have done a lot. Congratulations on the work that you've done.
Thank you.
For the record, my name is Jonathan Charleston, 201 Hay Street, Fayetteville, North Carolina. A couple of things I'd like to bring to mind. And we always kind of run into this, the conflict between government and private development. Sometimes government gets it, sometimes they don't. I think this is one of those cases where it's just didn't get it. Now, the Cumberland County Joint Planning Board voted unanimously to approve this recommendation. Why is that? Because the only thing at issue is the conservation district, that little small sliver that is at the back of the property. What's interesting though is it's not the CD district that protects the airstrip that RULAC is concerned about. It's the 6 federal regulations that govern what you can put there. Federal, state, local, everybody has a say in the environmental things, particularly in this area, is being, as you guys know. The board's unanimous vote was supported by detailed, on the record deliberations, and it constitutes, in my opinion, the most authoritative local government body's assessment of what the situation was. The Cumberland County Joint Planning Board conducted a full hearing, listened to everything. And one of the things I point out to you coming out the gate is all this stuff they were talking about, the accident potential zone. I want you to think of that in terms of a 100-year flood zone. You know what it means? We're gonna have a bad flood every 100 years. The accident potential zone is the same thing. Statistically, it won't happen. I'm gonna tell you this, because this is important. And I didn't want to debate this with them. But what's really dangerous about this process that we have is that because the town of Spring Lake nor Cumberland County have adopted a policy or ordinance around this accident potential zone, and because there's nothing on your land use maps or your development maps that refer to it, what you have is private people that spend their own money, that come in and they discuss the development of the property. They hire engineers and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it without any notice. And at the end of the process, RULAC comes in and says, and in this case, no, this is true stuff, man. In this case, the planning staff was recommending approval before the letter came from RULAC at the last minute. Then it flipped to a recommended denial, which, if you're a private developer, that's really problematic. And so, maybe one of the things that should happen is maybe RULAC should get involved early on and send their communications so that staff will have the benefit of it. Because this staff works hard, planning for the staff, they work hard, and they didn't get the information until the last minute, so that's a fact. But look, the basis of the denial, according to the denial recommendation, the recommendation of staff, according to the minutes that you all have, is that 90% of it was based on RULAC's letter, which is important to point out that RULAC says is advisory, not binding on anybody, simply advisory. And what you have to keep in mind is that the federal government, which controls what happens at Big Army, controls what happens at Fort Bragg, the federal government has said that none of these opinions that come out, they call them DOD instructions, are binding on private developers. Nonetheless, they've been adopted by a public body, like the Town Board of Spring Lake or Cumberland County, after a public hearing. So they're justified. And they're correct. This was a unanimous vote of the planning board that carries a great bit of significance because the general statute 160D says a couple things. The Spring Lake Area Land Use Plan designates this area as commercial. Okay? So the gas station that developers are contemplating putting there is just replacing a gas station that's already there. And the gas station that's already there went across the street to build a bigger gas station. All right? And so they're talking about putting a fast food concept on the site. And what's really important, folks, and it's in your package on page 70. I'd ask you to look at that. This is a letter from LULAC to me, an email. And it says the following. The information on the compatibility of the proposed uses was primarily for the developer's awareness. And that's the point that you mentioned in that. The concern we have with the rezoning is the proposal to remove the conservation district applicability to the flood area. That's it. That was the only concern that they had. And what I will submit to you is there are at least 6 regulations and laws that would govern any development that goes anywhere. Most importantly, you guys know this better than anybody, you have to get permitted anytime you disturb, waterways, flood zones, and all that stuff. The state gets in, the local folks get in, everybody gets in to manage that. So I wanted to point that out to you. In addition, there was a question that came up from the planning board, and I'll just lift this straight from the transcript of the hearing that we had. One of the board members said the following: I have a problem with the way the staff recommendation is written. I just don't understand the statement when the entire corridor is commercial. Everything is commercial. How is it not compatible to or in harmony with the surrounding land use activities? Based on that, I'll make a motion that we approve it. And I would argue, instead of saying we're amending the plan, I would argue that the plan use is consistent with the land use in the area, based on the zoning, and the fact that the last RULAC recommendation was rescinded after further discussion. Now, what I would say to you, I called the folks at RULAC, we had a good conversation with them, they're great folks. Maybe what the planning staff needs to do is when they get those letters, is call and follow up as well. That would probably be the appropriate thing to do, because after all, when you make significant investments like this, I mean, people have to do their job. That's my opinion. The narrow scope of this request, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing that's being changed is the CE designation. This is perhaps the most important and most misunderstood aspect of the zone, in my opinion. The petition, ladies and gentlemen, does not seek to introduce commercial zoning to a non-commercial site. It does not seek to override residential zoning. It does not seek to eliminate open space or create a new commercial district. The parcels are already partly zoned commercial plan today. It's just that one sliver, which is the conservation district. The strip applied to the Tank Creek flood hazard area. So, we changed this to the CP only goal to create uniformity across 4 acres. This distinction was clearly established on the record at the planning board hearing and confirmed by both the members of the planning board and the planning staff. So it's just that small, I don't have a little clicker, but it's a little small place on there that has an issue. So the legal significance of this is really a ministerial conforming adjustment, not a new commercial plan. So the only question I was that's before the board tonight is this: should the conservation district overlay apply to Commercial development is already permitted on the majority of the same parcels. Every flood protection the CD designation might provide is independently and comprehensively required by 6 layers of federal and state law. And RULAC's own executive director has confirmed in writing that the CD removal, not accidental potential zone compatibility, which you heard staff talk about tonight, they didn't even care about that. The only actual concern is that the existing law already addresses the CD district. And so, what I would ask for you to do tonight, because of the question regarding the CD district, 6-layer federal and state regulatory framework. I want to make sure you all understand that Tank Creek is protected by federal and state law. Layer 1, you have the National Flood Insurance Program mandatory standards, 44 CFR section 60.3. Layer 2, you have the Army Corps of Engineers section 404 permit, 33 USC section 1344. You have layer 3, state water quality certification, which is 33 USC section 1341. You also have layer 4, which is the North Carolina State Floodplain Management, General Statute 143, 215.54. Layer 5, the North Carolina Riparian Buffer Zones, which is at 115A, NCAC 02B. And then layer 6, which is the North Carolina Sedimentation Pollution Control Act, which is General Statute section 113A 57. No aspect of the federal and state layers were challenged or questioned during the course of the presentation. No board member raised a challenge to the adequacy of existing regulatory protections for Tank Creek, nor did the planning staff raise any issue. The board accepted the flood argument without objection. Now, as to compatibility, won't go into all of that. You guys go up and down Bragg Boulevard all the time. You see it's all commercial. And your own planning documents say at this site, commercial activity is encouraged, right? So, what I would ask in this case is that you follow the recommendation of the planning board that recognize that RULAC's letter is non-binding. I think everybody, including RULAC, says that. Okay? Doesn't mean you're disregarding it. It's just advisory. RULAC has a rescission of that initial letter based on the conversation that I had with the director, who I found to be a very thoughtful person. The wrong APZ standard is applied by the planning staff. Remember this, do you all remember Pope Air Force Base? The standard that the staff is recommending that you consider was the APZ standard of the Air Force, which is significantly broader than that of the Army. Didn't tell you that. The Army APZ standard is much narrower. That came out during the presentation for the planning board. So that's an important thing as well. There's no APZ overlay adopted. Again, I spoke to that earlier. The town, Spring Lake hasn't adopted it. Cumberland County hasn't adopted it. It's just not been adopted. So again, the incompatibility finding was, in my view, rejected. You heard the comments, and I'm sure you've seen the comments in your materials about the discussion, the deliberation of the planning board. There was a prior gas station there that existed in the corridor, a new one had been permitted. And so what we ask for you to do is to consider really and truly that the board's findings include plan consistency. It's a commercial corridor there, there's no objection to that. RULAC is non-binding. The APC standard was in error. The flood hazard has 6 independent layers of federal and state law to protect Tank Creek, and the existing rights and taking into consideration the existing rights and the narrow scope of the request. It's nothing more than bringing those 4 acres in line with the commercial district that is directly adjacent to. So the whole area, the entire question comes down as to whether or not there will be significant flooding to cause an impact on the operations of Fort Bragg. I would submit to you that the state nor the feds will allow development. They won't permit it if they believe there's a significant risk of that. Okay, and so I'll pause here and take any questions that any member of the board might have.
Commissioner, were you? Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay, just a few questions I have highlighted can kind of educate me as well as the citizens. You stated, and probably Mr. Richard Farkin can, since you couldn't find that little small area, you said that's the only area that we're concerned about, or what is the concern that's not included in this, as well as it states here in the summary and the description. You said it's already commercial, and I think he stated that a commercial district
Yes, ma'am.
are to be moved to a more restricted zoning district, but a 4. So when you state a more, when it's stated, sir, for more restricted district, what are you referring to?
That's not us.
I know it's him, but I'm just saying, your name is on here. I asked him, since you couldn't find a small area, then maybe he can, so we'll know.
Thank you for that question. So, at the time of the board's decision, the board itself could make a different recommendation for approval for a zoning district if they found that a more restricted one would be needed based on the information that was provided.
Because of the flood in the area, is that why would be a more restricted, or it's already commercial?
Correct.
Oh, okay. In the small area, maybe you can point it out?
Yeah, I don't mind. So the green portion is the CD zoning, with the hatch to the right. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, and where is it located that we're talking about? I say here, you see it, portion of the subject portion within RPZ 1.
Are you looking at the staff report? Oh, okay, gotcha. So it's that green portion that you can see,
Right.
that's the CD zoning district outlined in green. And then in this slide here, you can see the CD zoning district a little better next to the CP portion, zoning district on the subject property itself too.
Now.
Go ahead, Mr. Porter.
Just for clarification, I'm not trying to add anything, I just want to make sure the board understands. What you're saying is, of these 3-4 lots, the front half that has road frontage has no conservatory district on it, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah, the
Okay.
portion that is abutting North Bragg Boulevard is zone CB.
All right, so
Yeah.
just so the board understands, this, I'm not trying to sway y'all one way or the other, that's for clarification. These lots back up to, I take it, a creek?
Correct, Tank
All
Creek.
right, so the front portions, the road frontage portions of these lots are already zoned some form of commercial, all right? It's the back halves that have some protections on them because there's a creek back there, okay? So the staff, based on that, as well as RULAC, because a plane can fall out of the sky, which, by the way, they don't ever want anything, no offense, built anywhere where a plane can fall out of the sky. But there's whole neighborhoods in there. So you got a creek in the back and a plane can fall out of the sky. But on the front half, you could already build anything commercial anyways, it's a matter of right now. Correct. That, because of that, the staff has recommended, I'm just summarizing, staff has recommended not to go forward. The board has said to go forward. And Mr. Charleston's argument on behalf of his client is that there's already all kinds of other protections that are gonna protect that creek, like detention ponds and all other things that y'all probably know more about. But that's a summary of all the different positions. Is that about right?
I'd say that summarizes it pretty well.
Okay. Is my light off now?
Yes.
And again, for the same thing with RULAC, it is an advisory, and it is only for what RULAC is concerned with is in that CD where the Tank Creek is. If development happens back there, it could change the topography of the land, which could cause flooding on the flight line. Again, it's advisory, but RULAC's mission is to protect Fort Bragg, keeping Fort Bragg mission ready. And so they're going to all point out concerns, big and small. Whether it happens in 100 years or not, it's still going to be made aware so that not only do we know, the developers know, the county know, and everybody is fully aware of the potential impact that development on that property can have. Go ahead, member. Oh, I'm sorry, you were next. Go ahead, Commissioner Cooper.
Yeah, so I'm really confused because I've never known that there was CD there, and I remember when it was, all of that became one parcel, and it was supposed, and it was all commercial. So, that's why I'm confused, because how did we end up with that CD when I know it used to all be commercial, it used to be CD, if I'm not mistaken.
So I can't speak to all 4 of those parcels in their entirety being zone CP. That wasn't showing up in our 10-year case history research. Best I can explain is those parcels were created by deed, and so they weren't actually subdivided through a plat book and pages. Typically would be done by surveyor developer. So.
Okay, so because it right behind the CD, are those storage? Is that the storage?
Correct.
Place?
Correct. Yeah, it's Carolina State Storage.
So how is it not in the CD zone at all?
I wouldn't be able to speak on that, unfortunately. Yeah.
Mr. Charleston, oh, sorry. Mayor Pro Tem, you have something, and then Mr. Charleston.
Oh, I was going back to what Roland said and just what you were saying. And the waters behind that area, is they concerned about the flooding? If it's flooding, of course, they're going to protect Fort Bragg as well as they're going to protect Spring Lake.
And they're just saying it's a potential that it can.
Right, it could happen. Now, how large is that area where that water is?
Tank Creek itself, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you how
I want to see how
large.
far it goes, but it's kind of.
Yeah, let me see, I think I may have a slide that does illustrate. Let me see.
So it's going to be a flood.
So and I'll do my best to kind of walk you through this slide. So this is the special flood hazard area. So in the dark gray is approximately Tank Creek based off of Cumberland County's GIS. And then the 100-year flood zone is the lighter grayish blue. That provides any kind of clarification.
Because our firefighters, I remember when we had purple, a little boat up, with the little things there, they went in there. When we had that flood, I remember that. I thought that they did an awesome job, for whatever reason. I do remember that area, so that's why I was trying to figure out how large it is. Thank you.
Commissioner Cooper.
Thank you. The flooding that we're talking about, wasn't that because the Wood Lake Dam they opened that up and sent the water down to us. So the legislature has since given them the money to fix that, correct? So that's not a, the Wood Lake Dam in Moore County. And they've been given money to fix that so that that won't happen again. So that's mostly why we were flooded so bad during that storm.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Johnson, did you have something else?
I would just take the board back to the fact that we have 6 layers of protection there for it. And as everyone has indicated, the director of RULAC basically said concern that they had with the compatibility issue was really to bring everything to the awareness of the developer and everybody, which he explained that to me, and I understand that. That's in his email, page 7 of your package, where he says that. And so the APZ stuff is not as much of an issue, and that's not my words.
No, that's correct.
That's his words. He says the information on compatibility of proposed use was primarily for their awareness, and that's it. So that's not so much an issue. The issue is whether or not there will be a problem with flooding. I think that Ms. Cooper indicated what happened upstream, and correct, the legislature appropriated about $10 million, I think it was, to repair that dam up there at Woodland. So, again, what we would ask is that the board consider following the recommendations of the planning. It's just that recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this request? Last time, is there anyone here to speak in favor of this request? Hearing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the request? Is anyone here to speak in opposition of the request? Last time, anyone here to speak in opposition of the request? Hearing none, I now declare this public hearing closed. All right, we are now moving on to our system development piece. Mr. Honeycutt's here?
Yes.
Oh, how did I miss you? And this is Mr. David Honeycutt, a principal at McGill and Associates. He's our smart engineering guy.
I brought friends today.
Hey, smart engineering friends.
Mr. Dale Shepherd, with, these are financial service analysis to, can't get close enough to this thing. So Dale is our financial services analysis to work on a lot of the math and the financial analysis around this development piece. And I'm going to let him have the mic, and hopefully you can do better than I do with it. But just want to say it's part of the asset inventory assessment work and grant funding that the town was able to obtain. This hopes to provide the funds to support this study. So this is one of those steps within that process, allowing the town to look at these, the option to institute this fee and to help with funding for water and sewer infrastructure for the town. So that I'm going to let Dale give a little summary of it, and I think then the intention is to have it open the floor for the public hearing for this evening. Good evening. My name is Dale Sheepers. I'm with McGill Associates. Been there about 10 years now, and before that, I was 30 years in local government, public works director, utility director in 4 different municipalities. Closer? Okay, I'm sorry. And anyway, from towns of about 1,500 connections to towns of about 30,000 connections. So one thing I've learned over the years is it's the same whether you're small, medium, or large. The challenges are there, and we need to look for
resources wherever we can in order to maintain a sustainable water and sewer utility. So system development fees is allow municipalities and counties and districts in the state of North Carolina to charge a fee for capacity that they own and have available in their water and sewer system for the purpose of supporting new development. Okay, so the fee applies to only those new connections and upgrades to existing connections that would demand more capacity out of the system. Okay, the theory behind that is that the town owns that, and those that are getting that capacity from the town should, or as the town prefers, should pay for the value of that capacity. Okay, so the law says that in order to do that, it's very prescriptive. It says that we have to do a calculation, do a study based on the industry standard methodology, which is the American Water Works Association reference manual M1, and it needs to be done by a licensed professional engineer or financial person or firm. And then once you do the study, you do the analysis to determine what is the value of that capacity, then you have the right to set a fee that goes into your normal fee schedule to collect the appropriate amount of money related to the amount of capacity that new connection or new development will take from your system. Okay, so we've completed all that process. Part of that process includes a 45-day public comment period, which you fulfilled that as well. At the end of that, the process, the law says, we have to have a public hearing so we can get information or feedback from the public all the way through the process. And then once we have done that, then we can adopt the study. Then once we adopt the study, we can then set the fee based on the results of the study. Okay? So you do have a copy of the analysis. The town, there are two sources of value in your system. One is the existing assets, the existing system that provides capacity today, and then future assets that you have planned that would provide additional capacity for projected development in the future. All of this stuff comes back together with a rational nexus that says that we can only charge a fee that is commensurate with the value of the capacity that the new development is taking from your system. So in other words, you just can't make up a number and say, that's what I'd like, and if you don't like it, go somewhere else. It has to be tied together, so we're above board and we're recovering dollars that we've already invested in our capacity in our system, and nothing more. Okay, so at this time, I'll answer any other questions that you might have.
I thank you for that. This makes total sense to simplify, probably overly simplify. We're basically making the people who want to come here and build pay for building here, so that our taxpayers aren't. It's not relying on the backs of our taxpayers for expansion. So basically making sure that if you want to build here, you got to pay to build here. You have to build your own infrastructure so that our tax rates don't go up. So that's pretty much, and tell me if I'm oversimplifying what system development fees are. I'm not an engineer.
That is a very good, simple summary of the situation. Outside of that, then development is being subsidized by ratepayers if you're not at least recovering some of that investment you already have in your infrastructure. I think it's very smart.
Any questions from the board? Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we are up next, yay, the Town of Spring Lake.
Mayor, you have to hold the public hearing.
Oh.
The intent to have a public hearing, so we do need to open, since there are public comments.
Okay, I now declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of system development fees? If I could go down there, I'd scream it from the rooftop. Is there anybody here to speak in favor? Last time, is there anybody here to speak in favor of this request or system development fees? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the system development fees?
I just want to make sure
Please approach the podium.
Yes, ma'am. I just want to make sure I understand.
Yeah, because we're in a public hearing, can you state your name and address for the record?
Denise Ayers Dunkley, 4231 Beatty Drive, Spring Lake.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to make sure those fees are not passed on to the community.
Oh, no.
I just want to make sure, because when we get those bills, extra bills, that's like extortion.
What we're doing, system development fees prevents the community from having to pay for it. So that's why we're implementing these additional charges. So anytime a developer comes in, they have to put new pipes in the ground. And that costs money, and we don't want our tax dollars to have to pay for that. So we want the developers, if you want to build in Spring Lake, you have to pay for all of it.
I just
So
want
you
to
don't
make
have
sure
to.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor or in opposition of this request? Hearing none, I now declare this public hearing closed. Now we'll move on to the Town of Spring Lake FY 26-27 budget. Mr. English.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity. Town of Spring Lake, this is an opportunity for you all to provide us with, and I just, it's the presentation I sent you, the recent one.
Yes.
Emailed it to you.
Yes.
This is,
The one that's on the screen?
no, it's,
That's the one you sent to me.
what's the next slide? Okay, perfect. You have one piece in there. I just want to say that this is an opportunity for the town of Spring Lake to get a chance at a high level to see what our budget looks like going into 2026, 2027. Our ordinance is on our website if you want to look at a more detailed budget. You can do that on our website, but my quote and my vision is for the town of Spring Lake is that we will restore fiscal stability, strengthen public trust, and position Spring Lake for success. And what I want to focus on is primarily our priorities. And our executive summary highlights that investing in our employees, we recognize is critical. We all know that things are going up significantly, from gas to groceries, you name it. And we recognize that our employees did not have the right level of salary to meet those demands of society. So we took upon ourselves to make sure that they had a cost of living increase. So we went ahead and proposed a 3.8% cost of living, while at the same time, we wanted to also make sure that our public safety remains strong. We know that we cannot, deny that there is a high level of crime. There's a lot of folks who want to come to this town and do bad things. So we wanted to make sure that we added, or not just added, but we unfroze our positions for our police. We also recognize that when it comes to water increases, the water rates, we want to make sure that you all didn't have a water rate increase going into this new year. So that was important for us to recognize that. We know that we need to hold public hearings and make sure that the town citizens is aware when those rate increases are going to be needed. So we are not going to do that. Cost of living, again, I mentioned, and no property tax increase in this budget. This is our balanced budget, so it's just at a high level. I'm sorry, I'm driving, so you can back up.
Mr. English, would you prefer if we asked questions during the presentation, or would you prefer to be held at the end?
We can go through the slides, but I'm recognizing you don't have the presentation. Can you put this one in your computer?
Is this the one you sent to me before the meeting? Is
Yes,
this
but
different?
it's not actually the same one. So if you go to the next slide, you have this slide.
That's the next slide that I have.
Okay, but this is the one I have.
This is the one you sent me, so,
Can you connect this laptop?
You're gonna need to email it to me, or put it on this.
Bear with us one moment, please.
Put it on this small drive.
That's fine. We can go to this one.
Okay.
So this is our balanced budget at 10.2 million. You can move to the next slide. So this is a breakdown of our general fund revenue, and again, this is a high-level pie chart of what our spending, of what the revenue is coming into the town. So as you know, we have an ad valorem property tax, which makes up about 55% of our tax revenue, as well as the Department of Revenue, our sales tax at 26%, two of the highest revenues. You can move on to the next. Our general fund expenditures, and we have a cost of living increase, again, as I mentioned, operating expenses, administrative expenses, as well as our maintenance and repairs. Another high-level overview in the pie chart here, 60% of our police, public safety is in that green pie chart there. Our general government at 20%. And again, the transportation, which is where our vehicles and our infrastructure, our transportation is at 10%. Let's see. As you all know, we've done an asset inventory of all of our infrastructure around our water system. And we're going to be focusing on addressing the critical and water infrastructure needs and planned improvements for our water and sewer line upgrades. So this includes valve restorations, water tank improvements, and backup power for lift stations. This is a list of our asset inventory projects that we're going to be hoping to finance once we get our more grants in, once we get our audits completed. We will try to take out loans. We will try to go after grants. We will look at legislative allocation. All of these opportunities will allow us to get to this 10-year plan of paying our water infrastructure. I've included a show and tell so you all can recognize how old our infrastructure is in this town. And so when you get a chance, you can take a look at this. This was pulled up out of our ground on Friday. And you can see that this is about a 60-year-old pipe. So when you get a chance, just recognize this is what we're working on in our town. Pass it around.
I was thinking the same thing.
Careful. That came from a line directly to a home that we repaired last Friday. Our general fund capital outlay requests, and these requests come directly from our departments. So you'll see a list of these. This goes in greater detail on our website. But as you can see, we have a significant amount of upgrades. As you can hear, our HVAC unit right now, right? We have to look at these repairs going into the new year. We have different repairs going in. We have, obviously our vehicles for our police are looked at. We're looking at replacing those. We have 6 Dodge Durangos. We have various different vehicles that we need to make sure that we replace going forward. And capital allocation, this is another breakdown of how the spending in our infrastructure upgrades. We have public building maintenance and upgrades, our transportation and equipment upgrades. So these are your total costs associated with those. In the green or transportation, as I said, is $630 $100,000. Again, we've had a lot of equipment and transportation that we have not been able to replace over the years since the state was over our city, our town. So that's important that we go ahead and start putting these funds into these vehicles so that they're not breaking down. And so looking at the outlook and forecast, obviously we want to make sure that we're protecting our town's financial health. We are in a good position right now, but we need to make sure that we are staying in a position of strength from a financial standpoint. And looking at financial stability is going to be very important moving forward. We're going to be having our monthly reviews budget reviews with our commissioners so that you can see what's being spent on a monthly basis. And that's what we're incorporating. And of course, our enhanced capacity for economic development. We can't have more revenue come in unless we have strong economic development. So that's going to be a #1 priority going forward as well, is that we see the growth coming into this town. We know that Spring Lake has an opportunity for growth. We just have to make sure that we embrace it. And the only way to do that is we evaluate and assess who's helping us with our planning, right? What's that commitment? Are we utilizing the resources that we have in the Council of Government? Those are opportunities that I want to work closely with the mayor so that we can ensure that the town of Spring Lake have growth. We also have a housing opportunity. We can clean up this town. We have too much blight right now, so that we could take these homes, rebuild them, so that people can have an opportunity to come in and move into Spring Lake. And so we have a great opportunity for us to move Spring Lake to the next level. So that's what I mean by enhancing capacity for economic development in Spring Lake. And lastly, our commitment to transparency and stewardship. Again, making sure our board is aware of everything going on financially. Thank you for your commitment, Mayor Pro Tem, as we meet with the state, with not just the state auditor, but also our auditor, and how we get that transparency of getting these audits up to speed. Because we want to make sure that we're meeting on a weekly basis and making sure that these audits are completed. We've already been asked to make sure we come to Raleigh and show that we are getting in front of these audits. It's not just going to be something that we just sit back and let just happen. We're going to make sure our auditors are on point each and every week. And thank you for this opportunity. I love to take questions from you at this point. This is your budget. These are your dollars. So we want to hear from you. If you have any questions, this is the time. If you have any concern, I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Absolutely. Commissioner Cooper, I know you had a comment, and while you're doing that, I want to ask you to highlight how we're able to unfund or unfreeze and fund those police positions, as well as the steps that were taken to ensure that we did not have to raise the water rate.
Sure. So in terms of the positions that were frozen, we had an agreement with the 911 operations for Cumberland County. And what we've decided to do, because of the state law that now requires us to move forward and position ourselves that we don't have to make that payment to the county, we pulled back. And so we're leading the charge in the town, right? We're making sure that other towns understand that this state law is in position. I did get a call back from County Manager Greer, and he recognized that the town of Spring Lake has moved forward with that. There was no pushback. So this is an opportunity for us to get those positions in place.
And for what we did to make sure the water rates stay the same?
Yeah, so the water rates are staying the same primarily because we have an opportunity to position ourselves we looked at the Manchester Fire Agreement. We said, look, we have an opportunity with that contract and that agreement. We also made sure that we are in position to, continue to be very conservative. And so we were able to move those monies around so that we didn't have to raise our water rates.
And the bulk water rates as well?
At this time, we are in the process of working on that agreement with the Public Works, the PWC, Fayetteville PWC. That contract has not been signed yet, but we will have that in place for you all by the next board meeting.
Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. English. I did have a couple of questions. I know we were concerned about the pay for fire and police. Have we been able to get to where we need to be competitive?
Sure, so you all have, okay. So you all have your overview of the raises that we provided to you all. And again, we wanted to have some equity, right? So for us, we wanted to make sure not only we had equity, but we wanted to make sure those positions and those employees who haven't had raises in the last 3 years had some type of increase. Now, as far as our fire department, we wanted to look at those particular firemen who actually have not had raises as well. So we, again, kept it equitable across the board. And so those who did get raises, we went ahead and did a across the board goal. So that's where we are. Of course, this is your budget. You know, I want you to look at that, review it. But our goal was to make sure we had a cost of living increase, and those who did not get raises over the last 3 years had a chance to do that. And that was the increase was for $5.
So we weren't able to lump any of the police or fire.
Y'all come to the mic just so people can
So
hear.
were we able to raise the pay to stay competitive, or?
Absolutely,
Other than the
yes.
3.8? Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Those who did not receive raises in the last 3 years that's the goal, is to try to sustain those
Okay.
employees.
All right, thank you. Well, now I have another question. There was talk about, the county paying us, for the use of the recreation center.
Oh,
Did we ever get that?
Right now, the county is still in deep discussions with Fayetteville regarding the Parks and Rec system. They're looking at a potential overhaul, so I think we'll hear more about that once they kind of flesh out what's happening with them. I did want to make sure we highlight the Manchester Fire District. The county has given Spring Lake $802,000. What's the total?
600.
It's 649 plus the additional grant funding, which totaled to 830. So, the Manchester Fire District is completely paid for through the county now. Town of Spring Lake will not be paying to man, equip, anything at that fire station. It will be ran by Spring Lake firefighters. However, the county will be providing the funding to totally run the station. So we wanted to make sure that Bragg Estates and Overhills were taken care of. We've seen in a very scary situation how it could be when we didn't have fire protection for them in our community. And so this was something that our fire chief, our staff has been working on for quite some time. And I'm really, really grateful to say that not only did they make sure that they met our needs, they exceeded them by providing additional funding for equipment upgrades, uniforms, all kinds of things. So our Overhills Fire Station or Manchester Fire District is now fully funded by the county and no longer on the backs of the residents.
You have another question?
Go ahead.
Do you know what percentage of the property taxes we collected this year?
Off the top of my head, I have to get you that.
I believe it was like, Mr. Over, 98 or 99?
We're at 99.
They paid on time.
They paid on time. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? And just so you know, we have had extensive budget meetings, so for hours, we've asked tons and tons and tons of questions. And those are all available on YouTube, so you can actually watch our budget work sessions. We are on agenda item 9.
Mayor, public hearing.
budget, there's no
Yeah.
public hearing on it.
It's under public hearing. Oh. Yes, because we adopt the budget next meeting.
Okay,
Oh,
She made
one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. It's on here, because I got it. But, if I may, probably on this, where it is, a statement, it's a public hearing, on page 103 of the agenda packet, under the, first paragraph, you said that we'll adopt it at our next meeting on Monday, June 2026. Can you please, for the citizens, and I know it's every 2 weeks, what date in June?
June 22nd, 2026.
June 22nd, 2026, it's not on there. Thank you.
Okay, I now declare this public hearing open. Is there anybody?
Oh.
Do you have any questions, comments from the board? All right, I now declare this public hearing open. Is there anybody to speak in favor of the budget? Anyone here to speak in favor of the budget? Last time, anyone here to speak in favor of the budget?
Budget was good.
Can I approach the podium, Ms. Sanford? If you want to speak in favor of the budget, please approach the podium. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Juanita Bonds. I was here last Tuesday when they had the proposal for the budget, and I was very happy with the budget. I will say that I'm in agreement except for these phones. I'm still wondering about these cell phones. I think you guys need to discuss that more, Glenn, because you're not happy. But other than that, I'm happy. No water rates, no property tax rates. I am overjoyed. And thank you for your hard work. And I want to thank Mr. Roy and Mr. Oat, because he is the one who can give this credibility to. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the budget? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the budget? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition of the budget? Hearing and seeing none, I now declare this public hearing closed. We'll now move on to agenda item 9A, discussion regarding draft policy 43, cellular phones for elected officials.
Right on time.
Go ahead, Mr. English.
Well, I mean, I think I have my phone, so I'm not sure where we are at this point in terms of we've completed the process. We received the phones from Parliament. We have employees who are making requests. We've had our chief of police who recognized that to us in our last budget meeting that when you have public records requests for a chief of police and it's on your personal phone with all the private information that comes from our public safety, that was the point that he made. And so he received his phone. You're in the process, chief, of receiving your phone. And so I think it was just important for us to recognize those who did not need the app on their personal phone. It was not necessary. So it gives the staff, through myself, as you mentioned, Mayor, that's my decision as town manager. But as it relates to the board's decision, I think you all have an opportunity now to have an option if you want to stay with the app or move forward with an actual cellular phone. Again, we're a government agency, so there are our private phones should be used as private phones, and our government phones should be used for our business. And that's an option. I know the apps, as you all mentioned, was a cost potential saver, but as we recognize, it pretty much was not only, it may have been a cost saver at the time, but we recognize that we didn't see much, from a value standpoint of how that works with privacy and public information. So that's where I'm leaving it. I think we've solved this issue. I think we can now put this cell phone unless we have more. But from a town manager's perspective, that was mine.
This is strictly about the cell phone policy, drafting a cell phone policy for the governing body on how we choose to receive communications. There's an option for us to maintain with our One Talk app and not take a cell phone, or get a a town-issued cell phone. And we're implementing this policy just for governance. We are a government body, and we should operate by policy, by statutes, ordinances, and not just by wants and needs. And so we instructed staff to prepare a draft cell phone policy stating explicitly what the options are and how we use our cellular devices for the town. So that's what this policy is specifically for. Employees that fall directly under the town manager, which is everyone except for the 3 you see up here. Those people, the town manager determines if or when they can or cannot have a cell phone. So this policy is strictly for the governing body. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Looking at the policy discussion and possible action on this cell phone, I like it that they was given an allowance of $50, but it's $39, as well as we didn't have to purchase any hardware. Those items and those cell phones has been here at the town for a while, right, Carly? I had a refurbished phone that they gave me. I'm still receiving phone calls from an individual. They called for a discommission of 3 or 4 times. And I know not to utilize it for any personal use, and that's the point. It's just business use. But they was refurbished, so we didn't have to go out and spend any dollars. And we was able to get this for business purposes to make sure that we're taking care of the town's business, and it is a savings, a cost saving. As well as, since they were utilized prior to individuals, board members, I'm just trying to figure out where was the policy prior, and it should have been in place if they were utilized. So that was just my question. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, there were several policies that needed to be updated, and this was just on the bottom of the list because we wanted to move away from cell phone devices. So if we're going to move back to them, we need to do it the right way, which is through policy. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Has everyone had a chance to review the policy? Is there any discussion, additions, deletions to the policy? If there are no amendments to be made, Commissioner Cooper?
I make a motion that we adopt the cell phone policy. Cell phones for elected officials, draft policy 43.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Can I see, but I didn't, were you unready, Commissioner Jackson?
I'm not.
Okay. All in favor? Yeah, I'm just making sure. All in favor? Commissioner Burgess? Did you just change it? Can we do that? Okay. I just want to make sure we do things legally. All in favor, one more time? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries. All right, we'll now move on to considerations of next step in the town manager recruitment process. Commissioner Jackson.
I wanted to go ahead and request that the board, we go ahead and start moving the procedures of the town manager, what we need to do, and I guess, because I don't know if has to stay on for 30 days, the application process, to go ahead and get the application process started.
Absolutely, I wholeheartedly agree, and that should just require general consensus from our board to go ahead and instruct HR or staff to open the position. We do need to update the description and the salary, so before we open the position, we have to get the salary in place, because right now it's significantly lower than what we're paying now.
I can agree that we update the salary. The description of the job description is fine. It's just the salary you're saying we need to update.
What I'd like to do is call a special meeting. That way we can sit down and really go through the process, make sure everything is set. I know it's been a long meeting tonight, and I want to be mindful of your time. Let's try, if you want to send me you all send some dates to Carly where you're available, maybe in the next week, and we call a special meeting, get the process started, get the description updated, payment, everything. Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, we'll move on to agenda item 10, our new business, and this is ZON-26, that's 00.
Are you skipping 9C? Discussion of...
I sure did. What is wrong with me today, y'all?
Sorry, I don't have a light, so.
It's okay. Agenda items, excuse me, now we're still in old business. Discussion regarding draft interlocal PWC agreement. Mr. English.
Sure, so right now, we are still not at a point of agreement with the Public Works Commission. There is right now, for me, it's all about predictability and where our water will be. We also got to make sure we have room for growth because there's so many stipulations about how much water we use. And we got to make sure that also that we are not going over those particular, that capacity. So we will come back to you with a agreement and one that you all will vote on. We may have Public Works, Teddy may also participate in that conversation so that you can be well informed to vote on this new capacity agreement with the Public Works Commission.
I would much rather you guys take your time and be thorough than us jump into an agreement and record it.
It's not the most easiest agreement to read.
Okay, any questions, comments from the board? All right, now we're moving on to new business 10A, ZON-26-0023, rezoning request from CD Conservancy District to CP Planned Commercial District to a CP or a more restrictive zoning district for 4 parcels comprising of approximately 4.2 acres located west of North Bragg Boulevard and 340 feet south of West Manchester Road, submitted by the Charleston Group on behalf of James and Pinnipa Hennett, Cynthia Goins, Martha Harkins, and those are the owners. I'll now entertain a motion to approve or deny ZON-26-0023. Commissioner Burgess.
I'd make the suggestion that we approve ZON-26-0023.
Just to be clear, Commissioner Burgess, you made a motion to approve?
Yes.
Is there a second? Commissioner Cooper?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to your clients. We look forward to some new businesses. Bring them. We need them. All right, we are now on 10B, ordinance 2026-3 to adopt our system development fees and sewer, system development fees for water and sewer to the rate and fee schedule for the town of Spring Lake pursuant to NCGS 162A. Commissioner Cooper.
I happily make a motion to adopt the system development fees.
Commissioner Thompson?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll now entertain a motion to approve or deny resolution 2026-12, adopting the Cumberland Hoke Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. And that was in your agenda packet. This is something that we have been a part of for quite some time. And they have made more updates, nothing significant that I saw. And so I would recommend approval.
Mayor?
Yes.
China is here
Oh.
if the board has any questions about it.
Did you have anybody have any questions? Commissioner Cooper?
I make a motion that we approve the, what is it, Cumberland Hope, Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now move on to our budget amendment.
Months ago, we received $612 of payment in lieu of tax from the state of North Carolina for fire protection services. They're tax exempt, so they don't pay taxes. They give us a check for $600 in lieu of this property tax. With our new agreement with Cumberland County, they're going to give us $600,000-700,000 next year. They also agreed to give us $50,000 this year to buy some equipment and furniture for the Manchester Fire Station. We received that check a couple weeks ago also. So we are amending the budget by $50,612 to buy some furniture and equipment and pay a little bit of overtime in the fire department, get the internet up and running there. So this is $50,000 all for expenditures at the new Manchester Fire Station, paid for by the county.
Bernie, any questions? You had a question? Commissioner Jackson?
That list that we have, I can't find, and I guess, Jason might be able to answer. This is the list that you're talking about that the new fire station needs?
$35,000 of,
Yes.
yes, that is correct.
And that's coming out of the 50,000?
That's coming out of that 50,000.
What's the budget amendment number?
BA 24.
24.
Any other questions or comments? I now entertain a motion to approve budget amendment BA 24 for FY 2026. Commissioner Jackson?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment.
Commissioner Thompson?
So moved.
Any
I
discussion? Any discussion? Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question, I know this is all new furniture, glad it's up and running, but that facility wasn't closed for so long. What happened to the furniture? It's a beautiful facility if anybody ever want to go in and look around. But what happened to the furniture that was already in there?
Some of that furniture was really old. When they closed the station, that furniture, some of that was gotten rid of. Some of the furniture equipment may have been moved to this fire station.
So when they got rid of it, did they put it on the gov, like we normally do? We get rid of any taxpayer dollars? Did we do that?
That is what we do with all surplus equipment. I mean, sometimes old mattresses and stuff like that, you can't reach
Yeah, I
that.
understand that, but I'm
away.
talking about the other furnishings that was in there. And if you did put it on there, can you make sure the board get a copy of that so we'll know and we'll be a good stewards of taxpayer dollars? I do agree that if they need new furniture for operation, but it was a beautiful facility and I was able to go around and see that the furnishings and everything was in. They gave me a tour. So I just wanted to know if you put that out there as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson? Oh, I'm sorry, your light. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to 10E, discussion regarding draft Overhills Park sewer agreement. Mr. English?
Yes, so you all have, I emailed to you, you have in your email a memorandum of understanding from the Overhills Park Water and Sewer District, Cumberland County. We met in our last budget meeting, and you all agreed that the $6.25 that we were receiving for the water, actually the existing sewer rate was too low. So we went back and renegotiated. And we came back with now effective July 1, and I'll read this verbatim from the memorandum of understanding. The bulk sewer rate shall increase to $9 per 1,000 gallons for a term of 5 years. So if you go ahead and allow me an opportunity to sign off on this memorandum of understanding, from what I'm hearing from the county, they will come back with an actual agreement for you all to vote on. But this is just a memorandum of understanding. So this is signed by me, as well as Chairman of Cumberland County Board of Commissioners.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yeah, thank you. So the $9 is for bulk water. What about sewer? We're not dealing with their sewer?
I'm sorry, we are, so for the, answer your question again, I'm sorry.
Are we no longer gonna deal with their sewer?
Let me answer that question. All right. The agreement that we have first with Fayetteville Public Works, their rates are gonna go, for water, it's gonna go from $4.62 per 1,000 gallons to $5.59 per 1,000 gallons. So we sell bulk water to Mr. Wellens, who runs that district. We've already met with Mr. Wellens. His water rate is going to increase to $5.60 per 1,000 gallons for water in Overeels. Okay, that's a separate agreement from the sewer. Okay, his rate's going up because it has to pay at least what it cost us, which is $5.59. This is a separate agreement with Cumberland County for the sewer. Okay, currently, last year, they paid $9.25 for each household out there, the 317 houses. They paid $4 per 1,000 gallons for the water. The $9.25 per household was a minimum, whether you hooked up or not. The $4 was charged per 1,000 gallons. Last January, we changed the rates and raised that to double the outside rates. Okay, the county has said they refuse to pay that. Okay, because their bill went from about $6,000 a month to $18,000 a month, and they said they can't do it. Okay, so we renegotiated. The new deal is for the current year, 2026. They're proposing to pay the $9.25 per household for this year, same as last year. They're proposing that the per gallon charge goes from $4 to $6.25 for this year. So instead of it being about $18,000 a month, it's going to be about $11,000 a month. So we're going to have to give them a credit for some of those months we've already billed them at the outside rates. Next year, they're proposing to pay us the per 1,000 gallon charge goes from $6.25 to $9. But the $9.25 minimum charge per household goes away. So we will not get that revenue next year. We will only get the revenue from the per gallon charge, bulk sewer at $9 per 1,000 gallons. However, we will no longer be responsible for maintaining the pump station or the sewer lines. That will be the entire responsibility of the county. So our revenue for next year will be about $27,000. It's actually going down, but we're giving up all responsibility for maintenance. And in the long run, that's probably a good deal.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Are there any other questions or comments from the board? No. All right, we'll now move on to agenda item 10F, letters to the attorney regarding FY 21 and 22 audit. Mr. English.
Mayor?
Oh, sorry.
But we have received the letters from both attorneys. There's no need to discuss that.
Thank you, sir. Did you have anything to add to that agenda item? I know we do have both letters from the attorneys.
No, I'm very grateful for those letters, because now we can move forward with our audit. And it looks like we'll have another meeting with them, get an update meeting on, I actually want to speak with them tomorrow to see where we are actually at now that they have those letters. So we should have, what date did we ask them to come and present the audit? We're basically holding them to come in and present.
Next meeting.
Yeah. So yes, we're looking at a completion.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And it has been a long, grueling process with Mr. Overton working double and triple time to dig through years and years and years of financial reports to get us to this point. So for that, I want to publicly acknowledge you and thank you for your hard work, because I know these audits have been a lot. All right, so we will move on to agenda item 10G, discussion regarding draft policy 44, public records policy. Commissioner Jackson.
So we've been having a lot of requests for public records, which is anybody can do that. But what we don't have is a good policy for it. With some of the employees being able to use their personal phone, and then when the public record requests come on, they have to give up their personal phone. So I want to try to get some guidelines and rules for that. I suggest that for the personal phone, instead of the town clerk being able to do that, because of the personal nature, they will have to go through the phone, pick out what's personal versus what's business. So that means reading people's personal business. As one of the examples the chief brought up, in one of our meetings, if he's having an argument with his wife, he doesn't need to know, everybody doesn't need to know his business. And that's, you know, that, and he's right, and I have concerns with that as well. So, doing my research for public records requests, we can have the public record request for the phone sent out to another agency for them to do it. It would be at the cost of the person who's requesting the public records. For your business phone, of course, they can turn that over. I suggest that goes to HR because it's so much personal. HR has all the do's and don'ts that goes to HR. So the town clerk will receive the public record request and then turn it over to HR to do. I also suggest that if a phone has to be turned over to HR, that we give the employee another phone while the phone is there, because they have to have something to use. Also, in my research for public record requests, Facebook, any kind of social media also can be requested at for public records. If it has anything to do with the town business, it goes along with the emails and the text. Facebook also can be called for a public record request. And not only will, if who's ever doing the Facebook post is doing it, also the people are responding, it has to go up under there too. I forgot my notes to tell you what statute and what that is, but I do have that for anybody that knows. So we need to get a general policy on how these public record requests are done and who needs to do it.
Thank you. Commissioner Cooper, followed by Commissioner Thompson.
So, since we're talking about public record requests, I did submit one on April 21st, and I'm not sure who is blocking that, so I'll just ask personally. Mr. Burgess, did you have a problem with my public records request? Did you, Commissioner Jackson?
I did. Your public record request, I had someone look at your public record request. But some of the things that you requested was more of a board member type, especially with especially with you having timelines for things that's being done. That's at the pleasure of the board. The board needs to vote because no individual board member can direct anything without the pleasure of the board. It didn't go there. Then you send in another public record request saying each public record request per the statute has to be filled out. That second public request that you had in the memo box that tells you what you need to do, you put see email. We had, and I can't discuss that in closed meeting what we decided to do, but you know what was decided to do about your person.
So when you put in for your second one, in the memo box, see email, you can't do that if the first one wasn't right. So you needed to have written out, because that says so in the general statute, what you're having a problem with. Because each board member, when they do a public record request, it has to be handled like a citizen and not a board member. Because board members cannot individually tell somebody to do something. It has to come in the midst of the board. And the board did not discuss the items that you wanted done for the public record request. So now if you want to go back, and we go back and discuss that, since that's personnel, it has to be up on the closed session, I have no objection for you to go back and redo it, but we do it right, and not at the pleasure of what we think is right, because there's general statutes, and I have them all, and things that can be listed, what we can and can't do. And some of the items that you suggested, we can't do. So that was my problem with that.
So I asked the attorney said the requests that I had on that public records request were all valid. Is that not true, Mr. Porter? I mean, Attorney Porter?
So I believe the records requested, honestly, it's been a few weeks, Commissioner, but I'd have to go back and look. I believe most of the records requested, to my recollection, would classify or would qualify as public records. I think what Commissioner Jackson is saying is just more of the procedure of how you requested them. I think that's, we're kind of talking past each other a little bit, but I don't know. But either way, we need to get it done.
And there was nothing, there was nothing on my request that is required of the board. I can request what I want, whether I'm a citizen or a board member. And so either way, everything on there is allowable. So, yeah, so you're incorrect about statute.
Mayor Pro Tem. Okay, I'm sorry, Commissioner Thompson.
I was just gonna say, so if we're gonna do these policies, the one that we didn't approve earlier, since we have things that need to be done, we need to update all policies then. And that way that there will be no further questions as to what needs to be done, because we'll be following policies and procedures. And if I'm not mistaken, that what you're asking for HR to do, that's part of our duty description. So therefore, there's other things that's gonna have to be changed as far as that, so, yeah, so we follow policy and just add policies as needed.
Sorry, I was trying to turn my
Attorney
back
Porter?
on. Yeah, I was just gonna say, in general, I'll turn it off, I'm so sorry. In general, in the digital age that we're in now, which we've been in it for a long time, with all of us having mobile devices and computers, I think the overall sentiment from Commissioner Jackson is good. And great. I don't think it's going to hurt us. In fact, it will help us just go ahead and have a policy, procedures in place. So there's, because obviously this has generated a lot of discussion and frustration amongst the commission. And I do think if we just get this nailed down, anytime this comes up, it's turnkey, it's not an issue. I would ask Commissioner Jackson, I assume you got this as like an example from another board. But if we want to bring this back up, I don't know who we want to task with it. And it looks pretty good. This is the first time I've seen it. It looks good. You did it? Okay, well, Carly Ottram did it. Looks pretty good. But it's not going to, in fact, it will eliminate a lot of some of the issues as far as when a public records request like this comes in, how do we handle it? Commissioner Cooper is correct. She can request anything she wants, just like we all can. But I think we've just never, quite frankly, gotten requests like this before. That doesn't mean it's improper, it just means we've never dealt with it before. So I think the policy is a good idea. And good draft, Carl.
I agree with you. I do agree that the policies should be updated, because to my understanding, Mr. English, look like we've been utilizing a policy from another town. Is that policy we need to utilize?
Oh, you mean from the previous town?
Yeah, and I got the information here. As well as Ms. Jackson, let me just get it out, then I'm finished. So, Ms. Jackson, let me commend you on us to be able to update our policies and put that in perspective of how we should go because I do believe in policies and procedures, but we need to do that at all times. Then if we're utilizing another policy from another town or municipality, each individual town and municipality is different. So we create policies when we come up with different situations, as of tonight, different situations that come up and we say we need to put it in a policy. So I do 100% agree that we need to update our policy. And it's geared to our town here in Spring Lake and our citizens, and not geared to another town and utilizing those because what was stated, I think that ours had not been updated. So I do agree that we should update it. And thank you again, Ms. Jackson, for the work that you've done, that we put in the policy. Thank you.
So we just voted against being governed by a policy. And then we're voting to create a policy on public records, but we don't want to be governed for our cell phones. This is literally not for personal, for us. This is for governance far beyond. So there may not be a board that comes in and understands how cell phones work, or it causes conflict, but we're not going to allow ourselves to be governed there, but just here. I can't rationalize that in my head. It's either we're going to do right and be governed by policy, or do it the wrong way and not be. We are a governing body. Everything we do needs to be spelled out by the law. The law we create, general statutes and ordinance that the state create, that's a part of our, what we raise our hand, it's a part of upholding the constitutional laws of North Carolina and the constitutional laws of the state. So I just want to make sure that we are aware, we just voted down creating a policy in a place where there isn't one, to create another policy in another place that's causing friction amongst the board. So, also, this policy has some provisions that assigns a part of this portion or the process to the mayor, which I don't believe belongs in the office of the mayor. That belongs in the office of the town manager. I should not be reviewing anybody's public records request. I should not be reviewing or telling staff anything about time limits that is outside of the jurisdiction of the office of the mayor, and that wholeheartedly lies in the town manager's purview. So. Are you talking about yes, in the policy, it states that the mayor has if it's going to take over 2 hours of staff time, then it requires the mayor's approval. That should not be. That is not in my purview, and I do not want any authority in places where I should not have it, or this seat should not have it, and that is outside of the wheelhouse of the office of the mayor. That's fully day-to-day operation. Go ahead, Commissioner Jackson.
I want to ask the attorney something. So you're saying when the public record request, the policy that I'm talking about and the statute, does either one of them say that whoever does the public record request has to be the town clerk? Or does it say that it has to be by somebody?
Honestly, I wasn't prepared to address that question because I didn't see this prior to literally looking at it when we just got to it. Generally, what I will say though, just from experience, is the statutes are fairly vague as to literally the individual within a governmental entity who has to actually do it. It just says they will be or they shall be provided. But the statutes are fairly vague as to literally what human being, because a county is different than a town, different than a village. You're all gonna have different people. There's the city of Fayetteville, there's Charlotte, they have huge staffs. And then there's Spring Lake, and then believe it or not, there's towns even smaller than us. Yeah, that's
So with that being said, then to ask for the HR clerk, even if the town clerk, if everybody is persistent in her doing it, to have the HR clerk to go in there to help wouldn't be wrong. And number two, what I wanted to ask was, I know I saw somewhere, I don't know if it was in our policy or in the statute, that says that whoever makes the public record request, they have to pay for it.
beyond, if it's gonna, it's kind of vague, and it's been a while since I've looked at that exact language. If it's going to be abnormal cost, like if it's just a matter of like printing a few pages, that is not standard for a town or any government to charge for that. But if you've requested, I don't know, every email for the last 10 years, and that's gonna come out to 10,000 pages or something.
And that was some of the requests that Commissioner Cooper asked for, dated back, different dates. It consisted of a large amount of information that she needed, so that was more than what a normal request would have been. And number two, if it's coming from his cell phone, from the personal cell phone to what is business. So for example, if I call and I say, how are you doing? How's your wife? How's your family? And then turn around and put it in something business, that one text or email has to be separated. So that means whoever reads it has to read his personal business or her personal business. That's why I requested that not the town clerk do it or anybody do it, because they are employees here together. They have to talk to one another. They have to be one another. Even though I do not think Miss Carly will go and read somebody's personal information and put it out in the universe, I don't think that. But just in case, to cover her as well as anybody else, it should be done when it's a personal cell phone from an outside entity who has no relationships with the person whatsoever, who won't see them on an everyday basis or anything. I hate for the chief to have something in his email and then she reads it and he looking like, oh, you know I did this and you know I did that. That right there is personal.
Well,
personal is personal.
Here's what I'll say about both of those things. So I'll address the second thing first, just because you were just mentioning it. So yes, that is always a concern when public business has been conducted on a private device, which by the way is very routine. I mean, we've all done that whether we meant to or not. When public records are requested from private devices, there's always an issue of who's going to be the arbiter of what's public versus private, and who makes that initial determination. And there may be a fight about it later in court, but at the end of the day, someone's got to make that initial determination. I'm just telling you, it's up to y'all as a board to decide. I certainly understand your thoughts about Ms. Autry and Mr. English, because this has to do specifically with Mr. English, have to work together, so it might be awkward. I think that's what you're trying to say. Like, what if she accidentally saw something even if she didn't mean to, and it could cause some awkwardness. It might make her uncomfortable, it might make him uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, y'all got to either adopt a policy or pick somebody. And now, as far as how much it would cost to produce these records, the truth is, we don't know, because we don't know how big the data set is, the batch of data, or whatever these IT people call it. We don't know if we're talking about 50 text messages or 550. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. What I will say, and I know this has caused so much friction, and I promise you, as y'all's town attorney, I'm not trying to pick sides.
Yeah.
A public records request has been made. Regardless of how the board as a group decides to respond to it, it does need to be responded to. And, y'all just need to figure out the procedures y'all want to do to protect private communications versus what are probably pretty clearly public. And then if there is going to be some huge cost to that, we need to identify that cost and then make sure that that is handled appropriately under the statutes.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes, I just want to say that general statutes trumps everything. North Carolina general statutes trumps everything. Every single thing we do is public. It is public. So you need to remember that. Everything we do regarding this town is public. Okay, so if I ask for certain things, every single bit of it is public. And Carly is the keeper of the records. She has been to classes, taken several classes to be the keeper of the records. So I'm really tired of talking about this. I submitted my request on April 21st, and I know you all were against it. I know all three of you were against it, but you're violating general statute. The attorney said from the very beginning that I am allowed to ask for the things I asked for, and that should have been it.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I'm appalled for you to accuse me of something because,
Okay.
and you have no right to do that. But, huh? Go ahead, you go home.
Okay, let's be
Mr.
mindful.
Jackson, Ms. Jackson, we're talking about the policy as well as social media. We're gonna get that policy up because if you're gonna utilize social media with town business as well as we in closed session and you utilize the social media with town business that's coming out in closed session on social media, that needs to go in a policy. I think we need to entertain our policy. Ms. Cooper, I do think that your public records request should be honored like anybody else's. Any citizens got a public record request, they do have to pay for it. General statutes do, we have no problem. But, when you got hired, sir, but some of your, the requests from following you, tracking you and all that, if it wasn't done under other town manager, I do not agree it should be tracking you under a town manager. Now, I'm gonna go against that, and I don't care what the citizens say or nobody, because nobody should be tracking you if they didn't track the prior town manager. But I do believe that policy, social media, because social media is putting out stuff, and whoever's utilizing it, putting out stuff in closed session. And if we're gonna go by the general statute, then we need to go by the general statute, because it states that you are not supposed to come out, use your cell phone, text people while we're in closed session, as well as put it on social media. So I think we have some documentation for that as well, that within closed session, it got put out there on social media. So we can follow up with those policies and get them in track, and you get your request, ma'am. How we gonna do it, we'll discuss.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jackson.
I don't know, I guess I'm gonna say it. In closed session, when we had closed session and we discussed this in closed session, certain things were said and was supposed to have been done. One instruction came from you, Mayor. And then I think in the consensus of the board back there in closed session, we agreed that something had to be redone. So I think in order for we to move forward, we need to honor what we said in closed session. That we can't, what we did here can't over-trump what we did in closed session. And since we can't talk about it here, then I request that we have another closed session to be reminded of what was supposed to be done in the first place and what was agreed on in the first place. Because my reaction is based on what closed session said and not what this says. So it's totally different now. So I'm totally kind of confused now.
I think that is exactly what needs to happen, is to go back into closed session, flesh this out, come out with a concrete plan forward that will respect privacy, be it through the clerk or an outside source, but we're furnishing the public records because it's required, it's transparent, and we want to make sure that we know what's going on, y'all know what's going on, and we can close this out because, so let's go ahead and stop this now. We will add closed session to our next agenda. We'll discuss it again, and we will leave out of that closed session with a concrete plan on how to move forward with the policy. All right, I've lost my agenda. All right, I ain't ate today. My wife snuck me a hamburger right before the meeting, and my office gonna smell like onions because it's still sitting on my bed. All right, we are now on to our reports. So I took a small, still quiet break after I had a slight medical incident the day of lunch with the mayor. I want to publicly thank the fire department because they went above and beyond. I felt like I had 12 big brothers watching over me, and they were adamant that I sat down, I waited for the ambulance, and I skipped lunch with the mayor, and they were absolutely right. But I'm all better now. So big thank you to Spring Lake Fire Department, because they really took care of me. So I do want to touch on Lillian Black, just to offer a bit of background information. So what happened, when you see me going through these studies with Lillian Black. That was a program with Chapel Hill, UNC Chapel Hill grad students. And they are, all of the students that I was working with were going into city management, city planning, things like that. And so I entered Lillian Black into a feasibility study for 2 reasons. One, we're helping the UNC grad students get some real world experience, but 2, we actually needed to know the value of Lillian Black and its potential uses and how we could go about repurposing the building. So it was a twofold win-win situation. Spring Lake gets the data that we furnish to the county, and the students actually get some real-world training. Now, step 2 is Spring Lake still has 0 authority on what happens at Lillian Black. Now, with this $1 sale transfer, the $1 sale is fine, but there's also ongoing maintenance and liabilities that are associated with Lillian Black. And according to that feasibility study that was completed, it's going to take a lot of money that Spring Lake does not have, money that we will not spend on Lillian Black before we fix our infrastructure. So what I have done is I've talked to the county extensively. I've talked to private developers that may be interested in entering into a public-private partnership. I do plan on making sure that before anything goes forward, that Lillian Black gets a historical marker so that the building is preserved. The insides may change, but the external aesthetics will stay the same. But again, that it all lies in the hands of the school board and the county. This is something I've been petitioning them for since Lillian Black closed in 22, is to not let this building fall by the wayside. It became political. It fell off because I don't want to engage in political activities. However, we were able to re-engage this initiative, and we have some developers that are working directly with the county and keeping Spring Lake involved, so hopefully we'll see something happen with Lillian Black. All we can do is voice our opinions, make our interest known, but the final decision lies with the school board and the county. We are also in the process of applying for DCIP funding. So we are pursuing grants, and this is through the Defense Community Infrastructure Program, and this is simply because of our connection to Fort Bragg. The max that they are offering for infrastructure repairs is $20 million. I've talked to the town manager extensively about, us finding projects so that we can maximize this money and complete projects so that there is no spillage or leftover. We use this $20 million to at least complete a project. Now remember, we're looking at an $80 million total. So $20 million is only a little bit to get us there. But we'll continue to pursue funding as we can to try to address these issues. The Memorial Day ceremony was amazing. And I know Commissioner Thompson will talk more to that. But I do want to thank NVAC for always making sure that our soldiers and veterans and their family members are honored. I also received a letter from the garrison commander, and what they are requesting is we provide them a letter, a request for approval. What they want to do is they want to open up their public or their private amenities, the gym, the PX, the rec centers, the bowling alley, the movie theater. They want to open it up to the public, and they have to make this request to Big Army, and they want the communities around Fort Bragg to show their support and endorsement of them doing this, just to make sure that it's an actual desire and they're not just opening it up for no reason. So I do feel like this will be a huge asset for our community, now being able to go to the movies or the bowling alley on Fort Bragg, until we can, potentially build our town up and bring those amenities to us. It gives you a shorter commute to access Fort Bragg's amenities, like I said, gym, movies, bowling alley, shopping. And so if the board doesn't have any proposals to this or opposition to this, then I will go ahead and draft a letter of support for Fort Bragg, letting them know absolutely Spring Lake wants to use your equipment.
But next, the people going for Bragg still need the ID.
Yes,
You can't go on there
right.
without the ID.
Absolutely.
And now it's a real ID, you have to have a real ID or the military ID.
That's correct. And you can get day passes. Now, they've made that process extremely easy where you can just go online, you put in your information, and they'll give you a pass for the day, and you can go, or you can actually go to the access point on All American and go into the Fort Bragg access and get a identification card, or they'll just give you access. They got facial recognition now, so they don't even give you a card anymore. They just take your picture, and now you'll be recognized when you're going on to post. So they made it pretty easy. So we will be repeating lunch with the mayor at Rice Roots and Rolls on the 27th.
No. 24th, Mayor.
24th. I think I'm like for all of them on getting the date right. On the 24th at 12 noon, please come and visit. It's a fabulous restaurant. The owners are super nice, and when I tell you their food is spectacular, it is really, really good. And that is all. It's where it's right across the street from Cedar Point, where Dairy Queen used to be. It was House of the Orient, where those two. It's a barbershop and a hair salon in Sawati. That one little plaza right there. Rice Roots and Rolls, 12 noon. Spectacular food. That's all I have. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this was a very productive meeting. It was long, but we had not had a meeting. Let me first applaud our town manager, Mr. English, as well as my colleagues, my board members, that we worked, and the employees, that we worked extensively on this budget. We asked so many different questions. We was considerate for our community with our water, our taxes. I ran on that, I believed in it, and God said yes. We pay high taxes here, we have a right. The last 4 years, those water bills went up. So, as well as the employees, we have some good employees. They work for the town, they work for you, they work for the citizens. So we want to make sure they still give you excellent service whenever you call, whatever you need. And regardless of who gets sick, that they show up. And I want to thank the fire department. If I call 911, they show up at my house and treat everybody equal. As well as Mr. Overton, we thank you as well. We thank you because you're always saying, they said they didn't have any money, but you're always saying you can crunch them numbers and you can move it from one line to another. So we was able to pass this budget with your expertise as well as this audit. When I left off the board the last time I stated that, the first time I was here, we was behind in our audit. We've been diligent working on this audit. So glad we got those letters from the attorneys. I've called, Mr. English called, Mr. Overton has been calling, as well as Mr. Overton could not get from the electric company in Harnett County, and Mr. Dennis, you called, and they sent it right on over. So we've been working as a team, as we want to continue to work as a team on this board for our vision. And we had a vision. They asked us what our vision. The vision was not to raise those water bills and taxes. So that was one of, the vision. So let me thank you all for that as well. For that, as well as the employees, all the employees, all of them, they didn't get raises prior. They got cost of living. They got raises, good raises. So we expect them to make sure they take care of our citizens and do what they need to do. We also are going to, every month, stating to the state audit that y'all visit, ask for a monthly report from those P cards, those credit cards. Those credit cards belong to the citizen taxpayer dollars. We used to get a monthly report. So we're going to implement that, put that back, so we'll know exactly where taxpayer dollars is spent. So, Mr. English, we're implementing that. We'll talk about that. Y'all visit the state auditors. And I think that was great, Ms. Jackson, that you personally visit the state auditors and they could ask you questions, and I think that was wonderful. So that, and Mayor, I'm so glad that you're okay, and you took some time, because we all need to take some time, refocus, work together for the community, But we have a focused agenda. I don't call anybody and tell them to come up here and speak negative about any of my board members. I don't call them, because I can call people and say, hey, come up here every single time we got a meeting and be dissatisfied with everything that's going on. But I refuse to do that. So I'm just gonna continue to work together regardless of who we are, and we can continue to move forward. Again, let me thank my colleagues that we moved this budget and to bring it back. Thank you for this opportunity.
Commissioner Thompson?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to all the 2026 graduates of Spring Lake. I give them a round of applause. And then also, we don't forget about the summer meals. We have 3 locations here in Spring Lake. 11 and 11:20 is over at the Rec Center. 11:50 to 12:10 is at the Spring Lake Library, and Mendoza Park is from 12:40 to 1 p.m. So if you need, or if you know anybody that has any food insecurities, you can send them that way. That's every day. Every day, yes. Not Friday. I stand corrected. Every day, with the exception of Friday. And it will go from, it's already started. It started on the 1st of June. And it will go until I want to say the end of July, maybe? But they do it every day, with the exception of Fridays. But you can go online on the Town of Spring Lake website, and you can see the flyer. It's posted there. And as the mayor stated, on the 22nd, we had our Memorial Day celebration here. It wasn't a dry eye after the speech that the lady gave. It was really a moving speech, and I thank her and the national anthem singer. And also, this past Saturday, there was 4 of us, myself, Mr. Charles, Mr. Lackman, and Mr. Armand. We did a cleanup, and we asked that, people always say how bad the town looks, but we never get any volunteers out there. I understand that we have employees that do it, and then we have people that complain, and we're not there to come and clean your yard up while you watch us. We're there to clean the streets up. So, my God, come on, bring that motivation out there and help us, please. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Jackson?
I'm hoping if it's true and the county does buy Lynn Black Elementary School for $1, I hope the county is in favor of doing what they need to do to help rebuild Lynn Black as a school, and have that on their major agenda to do that with that. I was able to go to the office of the auditors. Very, very good experience. Was welcome back, planning on going back to get details to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing to keep these audits done right. As Mayor Pro Tem said, that one of the things was that they suggested was a monthly review of what's going on with the PCARs as well as our bank statements. So they were very willing to help, and they was encouraged. They liked the fact that we were there to stop stuff from happening because we're getting more knowledge of it. So that was a very fun event for me. So I appreciate that.
Commissioner Jackson, have we been able to move forward on that commit to civility?
Is that the one that we did for when we went up there? I told you when you mentioned it, I have no knowledge of it, so I can't move on it because I don't know. So I think you have it and Carly has it. If y'all tell me, I
sent it to you.
You did, but it hasn't been released by the league to register. I'm keeping an eye out for it. You're welcome.
Commissioner Burgess?
I want to thank everybody for coming. We're working hard on these blighted houses and the yards. People don't think we are, but we are. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. You just can't go over to somebody's house and cut their grass. It don't work like that. There's a policy. The chief's on it. We're on it. Town manager's on it. We're gonna get it done. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. I want to thank Mr. English for the hard work he's been putting in. And Lord, for putting up with all this stuff we're going through. And I want to thank the mayor also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cooper?
Thank you, Mayor. I did attend a meeting, a county meeting on the area agency on aging. And I I'll be bringing some of the, programs they have to you, and, hoping to make sure our people get taken care of. Now, I will say some of the programs do have waiting lists, but I do want to make sure that our citizens, senior citizens know what is available to them. So I will start, as we have more meetings, I'll start bringing that. And I did go out of town with New York and New Jersey. My son got his bachelor's degree. He, English degree, graduated magna cum laude. My voice is really good. And I also want to say, I don't have a problem working with anyone, but this is not how you work together. I don't hear from you at all. I don't know about trips to the auditor. There's nothing about the trip or updates. When that happens, everybody on this board should know that our manager and our board members went to see the auditor.
She went on.
Again, but we are one board. So everything that happens falls on the whole board. And there needs to be more working together. Just like I told you, Focus Group 3 deals with blight. And yet you are overstepping and doing that when I said it's Focus Group 3. We need to do what we have together, or just do away with the strategic plan if you're not going to follow it. I think it's disrespectful to everybody. If you read the strategic plan, whatever your group is, stay in your realm. Because this is ridiculous. We have to start working together.
Mr. English.
Okay, just to piggyback on what the mayor was saying earlier about this spring, with the Spring Lake, we're looking at Defense Community Infrastructure Grant. Thank you for the meetings you've been participating with me on. We are submitting for that grant on June the 16th. So we have a process for the scope of work that will be submitted, and looking forward to seeing what the outcome is. Several updates here. The FEMA wastewater treatment plant project, looks like that is coming to a near completion. Looking forward to that. Regina Drive, the sewer project, that's another project that is actually, that street has been torn up long enough. It's time to get it cleaned up and completed. So within the next 2 weeks and first part of July, we should be paving that area out. So, wow, PT, help me out. Okay. Stormwater.
It's a type of deer.
Okay. The stormwater project, looks like that is also another project that's anticipated to start early fall. So looking forward to that as well. Our street paving projects, we have Antler Drive. That one is actually going to be starting to come up here. Lake Tree Drive and Duncan Street. So just some projects on the way to help improve our streets as well. That's pretty much the conclusion. I did get a report from our police chief, Chief Jarman, who mentioned that we had 906 calls for service across Spring Lake, 234 traffic stops, and our areas of concern are high, with high response for services are speeding in our community, traffic accidents, domestic violence, physical disturbance, as well as larceny and theft. So I want to start looking at these on a monthly basis and seeing some reduction. And that's the opportunity for us to see, how do we move forward from here. And that's
For the police numbers, is that for the month, or is that 900? Oh.
That's just for the month of May 1 to May 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our plan.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Porter.
I'm trying to remember the last time we had a meeting, it's been a little bit, but long story short, the only thing I have is on the foreclosure on SLPA from where we bought the note from Truist. The last update I got from the Hutchins Law Firm, which was about 2.5 to 3 weeks ago, was that they've obtained service on SLPA. Long story short, if there's a corporate entity where no one's actually doing anything with it, you just serve the Secretary of State, because all corporations are essentially a creation of the state. So, to my knowledge, we don't have a hearing date yet on that, but they should be getting one for soon, they being the Hutchins Law Firm. It's a little hard to get a court date for certain types of things in June because the judges all go to conferences. They have to do training just like we all do. But they are working on that, and we all survived a very long meeting. Thank you. Thank you, audience.
Madam Clerk?
No, I'm good, thank you. I'll just be off tomorrow. FYI.
But she'll be available by phone and email.
Yes, or text.
Or text. Okay. If that is all?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Then this meeting is now adjourned. Have a